In recent years, the beauty landscape has diversified. However, generative AI technologies have now flooded our feeds with unrealistic and unattainable beauty standards. To discuss the impact of this, I'm joined by Noelle Russell, the founder and Chief AI Officer of the AI Leadership Institute. Noelle joins me in the South by Southwest Sydney Studio now. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Excited to be here with you.
Fantastic. Now, this is an interesting topic. I'm really interested in this. But how are generative AI technologies influencing modern beauty standards and the perceptions of beauty?
It is a very interesting time, and it's actually not a new problem, right? We probably all can think back 20 years and the idea of supermodels and magazines and how we all looked at those and went, oh, that's what beautiful is. Yeah. But the challenge we have now is that with large language models, with things like ChatGPT, these models are aggregating all of that information and presenting that when we ask a question. And so it's very difficult for young people, but really anyone, to distinguish between what's real and what isn't. Because even back then, before there was AI models able to put beauty filters on us, even back then we photoshopped models. We took away their blemishes, their freckles, the lines that made them unique. All of those things went away. So now these models really do amplify some of the worst stereotypes about beauty, which makes it very hard for young people to distinguish what makes them beautiful.
Absolutely. And what effect is this having on women and young girls?
So I think probably the saddest statistic I am aware of, and actually Dove has done some really incredible research in this space. They've uncovered a statistic that says only about 30% of young girls and women are happy with the face they see in the mirror. And that maybe even more startling is that women in general would gladly give a year of their life away to be seen as more like the beauty that they see in social media, and to think about sacrificing your life, like the moments you have with your children, the moments that you would have with your spouse, like to let go of that in order to just be prettier. Like it really does create an opportunity for us to really change what beauty looks like.
That's so true. And it's a heavy weight for a woman to carry, or a young girl to carry at a very young age, and to be free of that would just be, imagine, I dream of a world.
Yes.
And even like looking at shows like America's Next Top Model, which is a show that I don't think would ever be made today, and the referencing to plus size models who were what are considered today standard sizes. There seems to be, and that was only in the 90s and the early 2000s, it hasn't been long that these changes have started to take place. And you mentioned Dove doing a lot of research, and their ad campaigns are very progressive when it comes to women's body images.
Yes.
Is there anything that you would like to see happen that has yet to happen?
I think my biggest concern right now is that most organizations, they don't realize, and really individuals, we don't realize how much agency we have in a world where AI is generating content. So in a world where we have AI that's taking these decade-old understandings of beauty and exaggerating them in the form of filters on Instagram or Snapchat, it's more important now than ever for people who are seeing these images to provide feedback. That's not real. One thing that I've learned that Dove does, for example, is workshops with young kids, and it just shows them, here's all the work that went into making this image that you think is them just hanging out on the beach, when actually it's 3 months of production, post-production, that's gone into making that image seem like it's normal, like it's reality. So I think my biggest concern now is that companies don't realize really how much power they have, both in their ability to create imagery and messaging, and actually, why do we use human imagery at all? Why is a person's persona, their face, what they look like, a part of any message that we're delivering when we're thinking about what true value is? So either one of the things I uncovered today was a prompt playbook around beauty. There are ways to ask a model, hey, make sure that this is not just generally, I want to see someone, who is Latina, but I want to see a Puerto Rican or someone from Argentina or someone from Miami. And that each one of those requests should generate an authentically different perspective. But the only one providing that perspective is going to be someone like me, who can train the model and go, that's not what Afro-Latina looks like to me. But I have to say that to the model for it to get better. And most people are really just consuming these models. They're not really participating actively.
And what are some positive ways that brands and companies can use technology to promote body diversity?
Yes. One of my the most fun that I have, especially with my kids, is becoming a producer rather than a consumer, like using AI to build images. When you realize how much clarity of thought you need to have when you're building imagery, you'll realize, oh, this model is really working with very little information about what beauty is. As a matter of fact, part of the study that I read, they said that if you ask a model that's not been trained on what beauty is, it'll say blonde hair, brown eyes, and olive skin. And that, of course, is a very small representation of the world. So in that world, how do we actually train the model to be better? So in every model, there's a thumbs up and a thumbs down on all of these generative tools. And so I encourage everyone from companies to individuals to just take the opportunity to tell a model, nope, you didn't quite get it. And I think this proactive approach to building AI, it's new for us, of course. We're used to just sitting back and absorbing. But we really do have to take the action of saying, no, that's not right, because a model doesn't know it's wrong unless we tell it.
And is that one way to conquer the fear of AI and modern technology, is by controlling it in a sense?
Yes, it's certainly by building. I always encourage people to become a builder, because today you don't need to be, in order to build AI, you don't need to be a data scientist or a coder or learn to program. You just need to have a good command of the human language, and it could be any number of languages. But your clarity in how you describe a thing is actually what makes the model perform better. And when you do that the first time, a light bulb goes off, because you realize the model isn't smart by itself. It doesn't understand humanity or gender or ethnicity, that's the human lens that is applied. And without us applying it, that model could very easily grow up and hurt people, kind of like my baby tiger.
Yes,
right?
gorgeous baby tiger.
I reference it because a lot of little AI systems are like baby tigers, very cute, usually do quite novel things, but we're not really asking good questions like, what's going to happen when you grow up? How big are you going to be? What are you going to eat? And what happens when I don't want you anymore? Like, these are critical questions that we're not really asking, because we're in a world of consuming. And everybody really needs to shift that lens into, how do I become someone that helps train